Welcome back everyone. Let's do the second part of this small editing tutorial that I've got here. Right, we have blended the images now. The first thing that we will do once we are happy with the blend, seeing that you've got your brushes done and everything is looking good and solid and perfect, we're going to go ahead and flatten this image. Simply right click on any one of the layers and just select flatten image. Now you're going to have one single image file to work from. First thing I would normally do is I would start by clearing up all these dust spots I've got on the image here. I'll just show you here. Like over here, and I'll normally do that by using my spot healing brush in CS6 or CS5, whichever one you're using. And it's simple, it's very easy. Just go ahead and you click, and the content aware function will take care of all the necessary healing of these spots. Right, that's quite rough. Normally I will zoom into about 200% just to double check that I've got everything, but that should do it for now. Right, the first thing that we will have to look at is start doing a selection. Now selections can be very important because then you can edit your sky separate from your foreground, which can allows you more control to add more punch into your sky and work selectively just on those colors, and the same with your foreground. So let's go ahead and start doing our selection. What I'll do is I normally use the selection tool up here. The one you'll most often see, there's a magic wand tool. You don't want that because that will select. Let me just show you guys what that will do. If you use magic wand and you want to select the sky and you click, it will select all that color range that you've got there, which is not what you want, because you want all this highlights and those shadows in your image as well. Plus you want to leave your ocean alone. So let's say Command D to deselect that. Go over to your quick selection tool. Quick selection allows you to draw a selection that you want on your image. So anything inside that selection will be selected. Let's just deselect that there. If you want to select a bigger part of the area, like for instance the sky in a rough draft, just to get the basic selection done, I would normally up my pixel size to about 5 pixels. I do that by using the square bracket. So there, you'll see it's up to 5. And I'll simply start in the top corner here, and I'll drag it down to the right hand corner of the sky. Look, now there it jumped over onto parts of the ocean and selecting the part of the cliff here, which we don't want. So just hold down the Alt key and simply drag on the line that you want. The Alt will cause it to deselect whatever is below that. So just move it along so that we get that horizon line there. Just have a look. There we go. That's a very rough draft. Right, now we will zoom in. As you can see, the line is quite squiggly there. That's 100%. Let's go in a little bit closer, 200%. Right. Okay. These little twigs you're not going to bother too much about because they're not going to be really visible unless you go and print them. But even then, the slight changes you're going to make, it's not going to cause those to stand out like a sore thumb. So Alt key again and simply just drag along the horizon line there to deselect it. And now all you do is just go ahead and you do it with all these. I would even make my selection smaller to about 2 pixels, or spots like these where you've got a very fine line that just jumps over the edge of the horizon. So here we go. Same here. Another one here. it is advisable to zoom into 200%, especially when you've got mountains on your horizon, because then you want to go look deep into every one of those little nooks and crannies to make sure. Otherwise, you're going to have a definite line that you are going to notice once you start making big contrast adjustments. But with this specific horizon we're working with, it's quite easy. You've got a straight line. You just need to zoom in quite a bit to get to see it. Right. Don't worry if it jumps over a little bit like that. If you let go, it normally selects that line and it should be quite accurate. Now here, the color difference between the sky and the ocean is quite the same. So that's why you often struggle to see a straight horizon line. But that's not a train smash. You can fix it. There we go. Right, here's quite a big jump. If you notice, there's a very, very slight variation in color there. Now your computer won't notice that as well as that you will see it with the naked eye. So if you've got a tablet and a pen like a Wacom tablet, you'll find this a lot easier to do because you can work a lot finer with the pressure of the pen. I'm just using my normal Mac mouse, and for the selections I do, it's pretty okay. Right, let's use that. Yeah, that's about pretty spot on. You'll notice the horizon's got a slight curve. That's due to the fact that, okay, now it's jumped back again, so you need to reselect that. That slight curve the horizon's got is most likely due to lens distortion, because I shot this on a wide angle 17mm lens, so the chances of distortion will always be there. This is a tricky spot. Okay, that should be fine for now. Normally I'll spend some time and just select that edge right there, but otherwise this video is going to take me 40 minutes to make, and I just want to keep it nice and short so you know what we're doing. Alright, now we've got the sky selected, the whole sky. Now we'll go to select, I'll say save selection, and I will say sky. Now in whatever format you save this image, be it JPEG or TIFF, I normally save in TIFF, that selection, once you've saved it, will always be available on this image. So let's just select the foreground and ocean. You'll just say inverse. Now you've got the bottom section selected. Go select, save selection, and you say ocean. And you click OK. Right. Now you've got these two, let's just deselect. You've got two distinctive selections to work with, the sky and the foreground. So as I said, in whatever format you save this image, it will always be available to go back onto it and re-edit that selection again. So let's say if we want to edit just the sky, you would go select, load selection, and then by channel you go click sky or ocean. So you just click sky and say okay, and boom, there's your selection once again. From now on, in that selection, you would want to be working with adjustment layers. Adjustment layers is masks that you can be putting on top of this image with the adjustments that you make it, without affecting the original background image that you've got there. You can make a copy of that, so you've got two layers, but seeing as I've done now, I've only made a copy of the sky, which we don't want. So just delete that, deselect everything, so Command J, and then duplicated that layer. Now you go ahead and you say select, load selection, sky. Okay, alright, there we go. First adjustment layer. I normally start off with doing everything in levels. I want to fill out all the negative space you've got it, because in effect those are dark pixels sitting there with no info, and I do the same with the highlights should there be any. So let's just drag this one into the edge. You'll see all that lovely contrast and saturation coming into the image. But you'll also notice the clear line on the horizon where we've done this change. So you might just want to brighten it back up by using the slider from the highlight section, but then you'll notice the highlights in the image over here is starting to clip again. So let's just take back everything to normal and do a very slight you can even play with the mid-tone section as well. That should be okay. That's okay for my liking. You'll notice there's a very fine difference on the horizon there between the sky and the ocean. We're going to correct that right now. Okay, let's see the difference in that change. Just click on eye and you can see the contrast coming in there. Lovely. Right, we like that. We want to reselect the sky again. So just hold Command or Control on the Control on PC and Command on Mac and click on the mask. And there you will have your selection again. So another adjustment layer. I would say a little bit of brightness and contrast. Brighten it up a tad and you'll see that line disappear. That distinctive line is basically gone. And you just add a tad of contrast in there again. Right, what's the difference? There you go. Just that little bit. I think I'm pretty happy with the sky for now, so let's go ahead and add something to the foreground. Go load selection, say ocean, say okay. There we go. Once again, adjustment layers, and I will start off with my levels once again. Now you'll see on the highlight section there's no space there, but on the darks there is very dark areas like the cliffs on that side and a couple of dark patches in between the bushes here. So let's bring that in a bit and you'll see the image brighten up. Let's do a bit of extreme. Just watch all the highlights starting to clip. Take it back so it just touches the edge there and you delete all those pixels that didn't have any information. You can play around with your darks, but I wouldn't do it too much because then you're simply gonna be losing quite a bit of detail in the darks on here. So I would maybe just a touch of about 3 points. Right, let's look at the difference between before and after. Before, after. Brightened up quite a bit in the highlight section on this side. So I would tone that down just a tad. Much better. See, once again you can start seeing there's a line emerging on the horizon there. Because you are working in masks, you can brush on them. You can brush some of this effect, you can take it away in the image. If you select the black palette on the left in the corner here, by just toggling your X, and you'll take it to there. Take a brush and just bring up the size there. Let's say you want to remove some of the effect in this section here. You'll simply go ahead and brush that out. And if you click on the mask, you'll see there's the effect of what I've brushed. And obviously the more you go over it, the darker it will become. We're working on quite a low opacity brush, so about 20%. So just to show you the effect, you can up it to there and you'll see a clear part that I'm brushing away to reveal the layer below. So let's click on that again. Right. Now you'll see basically the effect is only on the ocean and a couple of selected parts and not as much on the rocks as you can see here. Alright, let's turn that layer back on again. Alright, now we want to reselect this again. Yes, what I wanted to say is to sort out the problem on the horizon. Zoom in a bit. Get a nice small brush with a low opacity. of, let's say, about 15%, and just simply quickly brush along the edge of the horizon, and you will you'll take away that very defined edge by bringing some of the layer below back into the image. There we go, it's a little bit better. Perfect. Now I'll reselect this one, Command or Control click on the mask. Now you'll see that section is deselected because you brushed away. Okay, so simply go back to your selection tool, go back to 5 pixels, and then just simply throw it back in again. Just load there, select that one. There we go. Done. Perfect. Another adjustment layer I would often do is a photo filter, but it might not be needed in this one. Default photo filter will be a warm-up one, and I would change the opacity down to about 8 or 9%, just to bring out the nice colors in these rocks from the morning sun. Before and after, very, very slight change. And in long and short, that's roughly how I would have edited this image, with the selections and my adjustment layers here. Now let's I would save this image as a TIFF file with all these layers. TIFF files is you save the image as a maximum resolution one, plus you get to keep all the layers that you've worked on. So when you can take that file and open it on your friend's computer or any other computer in Photoshop again, and you will have all these layers again, including the selections that you have saved on the image. So I would go in and I would say save file, save as, and I've got in my pictures folder, I've got a dedicated folder for all my TIFF images, because normally the ones I work on is portfolio stuff that I would like to keep a full resolution copy of with all the layers for later use in case I want to do a large format print or whatever the scenario might be. So I'm just going to save it as a TIFF in the original folder that I'm working on here. You keep it as there and you say save. Just keep it exactly as it's there. Say okay, and now it will tell you including layers will increase file size. You say okay, because that's, you know that. Alright, it's busy saving. Perfect, saving's done. Now I go ahead and I flatten this image. So now you've got one single image file again. At this stage, I would normally start doing dodging and burning, take it into Nik filters for some added contrast or structure in selective parts, or bring out a little bit more detail, which I'm not going to go into depth in this specific video. So at this stage, your image is basically done. You can add your watermark. I've got a little action set up here for my one watermark. The other one is just a PNG file I bring in and I drop on top. And then I would go ahead and I would resize it for web, which I've got a specific action for. So let's go ahead and do that. And it does my sharpening as well. And there you go, that's my final image. So should I want to upload it to my Facebook or my website or anything, that's the one I will do. Alright, for now, thank you very much. See you soon.